Elias wiped the sweat from his forehead as he climbed the rocky slope. The sun of this distant planet was harsher than anything he had ever felt on Earth. His boots kicked up red dust that swirled around his legs, and the thin air made each breath a small effort. Yet he pushed forward, driven by curiosity and the thrill of discovery. For years, humans had been exploring distant worlds, searching for signs of life, strange minerals, or anything that could teach them about the universe. Elias, a young scientist and explorer, had been chosen for this mission because of his keen mind and fearless heart. The maps of this region were incomplete. Satellites had shown only rough outlines of mountains and valleys, but somewhere among these jagged cliffs, a hidden cave system had been marked as anomaly detected. Most explorers had avoided it, claiming it looked dangerous. But Elias had a feeling that the cave held secrets waiting for someone brave enough to find them. He finally reached the cave entrance. It was a dark, jagged opening in the cliff, partially hidden by hanging vines. A chill ran down his spine as he stepped inside. The air was cool and damp, filled with the earthy smell of wet stone. Shadows danced along the walls as he moved his flashlight across the rough surfaces. Every step echoed. The cave felt alive in a way he could not explain. Deeper inside, he noticed a faint glow. It was subtle, almost as if the stone itself were breathing light. He followed it, careful not to slip on the wet rocks. The passage narrowed, and he had to crouch to continue. Finally, the tunnel opened into a large chamber. At the center of the chamber was a pool of water. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. The surface shimmered with soft, shifting colors, glowing faintly in the darkness. The water was perfectly clear, yet it seemed to hum with energy. Elias approached cautiously, feeling a pull he could not resist. This is incredible, he whispered to himself. He knelt beside the pool and dipped his hand in. The water was cool and smooth, almost silky. As his fingers touched the surface, he felt a tiny shock, like static electricity, spreading through his arm. His heart raced. He leaned closer, staring into the pool. The colors twisted and turned like liquid rainbows. The hum grew louder in his ears, vibrating in a strange, gentle rhythm. It felt alive. Elias's rational mind screamed to leave, to report the find and study it safely. But curiosity overcame caution. Before he could think twice, he scooped some water in his hands and drank. The moment the liquid touched his tongue, a strange warmth spread through his body. It was not just heat. It was energy, deep and powerful, flowing through every nerve, every cell. His vision blurred, then sharpened. He blinked, and suddenly he could see the tiniest details on the walls of the cave. Cracks, dust particles, tiny crystal formations invisible before. His hearing changed, too. The drip of water from the cave ceiling sounded like a rushing river. He could hear distant wind outside the cave as if it were inside. Then, the whisper came. "You have no idea what you just became." Elias froze. He spun around, shining his flashlight, but the cave was empty. No one was there. Only the shadows moved, as if they were watching him. The words seemed to echo in his mind rather than coming from outside. His heartbeat raced. "What? Who's there?" he asked, though his voice sounded small and fragile. There was no answer, only the hum of the pool. But Elias felt something shift inside him. It was subtle at first, a tingling, a sense of awareness that went beyond his senses. He could feel the stone under his hands, the air on his skin, even the life hidden in the walls of the cave. Something ancient had awakened. He stumbled back, clutching his head. The cave seemed to breathe with him, glowing more brightly with every step he took. He could see patterns in the stone, tiny lines that twisted like a map. It was as if the cave itself was alive, watching him, testing him. Elias sank to the floor, trying to calm his racing mind. He thought of the mission, of the team waiting for him at the base camp. He thought of science, of logic, of everything he knew about exploration. None of it mattered anymore. The pool had changed him. He was not the same human who had stepped into the cave just minutes ago. He experimented. A small rock nearby levitated slightly when he concentrated. A faint light flickered along his fingertips when he moved his hands over the water. The pool had given him abilities, though he had no idea how far they reached. The whisper echoed again in his mind, softer this time, like a distant thought. The first step is taken. The rest is waiting. The thought made his heart pound with a mixture of fear and excitement. Could this be evolution? Had humanity stumbled upon something far beyond their understanding? Elias did not know. All he knew was that the cave and the pool had chosen him for something extraordinary. He spent hours in the chamber, unable to tear himself away. The glow of the pool seemed to pulse with his heartbeat. The cave walls reflected his new senses. He could sense small creatures in distant tunnels, the vibrations of the wind outside, and the faint energy of the planet itself. The realization was overwhelming. Humanity had explored space, but humans had never experienced this kind of connection to a living planet. Finally, exhaustion took him. He lay near the edge of the pool, staring into its depths. The whisper had faded, but he could still feel it, a gentle guidance urging him to explore, to learn, to become more. He closed his eyes for just a moment, and the world shifted. When he opened them again, he knew he could not return to life as it had been. The cave, the pool, and the whisper had changed everything. He was alone, yet not alone. The planet felt alive, and it had marked him as something new, something beyond ordinary human limits. He rose to his feet. The adventure, the journey, the discovery, it had only just begun. Elias took one last look at the pool. A quiet determination filled him. He would explore the secrets of this world, understand the powers within him, and perhaps guide humanity to its next step. But deep down, he knew that the warning, the whisper, was true. He had no idea what he had become. With careful steps, he left the chamber, the glow of the pool fading behind him. Outside, the red dust of the planet swirled in the wind. Elias felt the energy of the planet in his veins. He was ready to face the unknown, and somewhere in the shadows of the cave the whisper waited. Elias returned to the research base, but the world felt different. The sun, the mountains, even the air, it all seemed sharper, alive in ways he had never noticed. Every detail called to him. The rustling of leaves sounded like whispers, distant insects like tiny chimes, and the faint vibrations of the planet's crust beneath his feet felt like a pulse he could understand. His team noticed something immediately. "Elias, are you okay?" asked Dr. Miran, the mission leader. "You look different." Elias smiled faintly but did not answer. How could he explain it? The pool had changed given him senses humans had never possessed. He had seen the veins of minerals inside rocks, the tiny organisms in the air, and the faint energy flowing in every living thing. Ordinary words could not describe it. He walked to his equipment and picked up a small drone. Normally it required careful programming and remote control, but this time it hovered when he focused on it. He thought, and it responded. His hands trembled with excitement and fear. He had control, not through technology, but through some connection he could not yet name. Dr. Moran watched, her eyebrows furrowed. "Elias, are you experimenting?" He shook his head. "It's not me. I don't know how, but it moves when I think." His voice was shaky even to him. The team exchanged worried glances. But Elias did not care. He had discovered something that could change humanity forever. And yet a shadow of fear lingered. The whisper in the cave had not lied. He truly did not know what he had become. Over the next few days, Elias experimented in secret. He discovered that his mind could sense patterns others could not. He could predict the behavior of equipment before it failed. He could sense the moods of his teammates, the slightest shifts in the environment, and even faint traces of energy in rocks and plants. The abilities were growing, changing him. One evening, while walking near the edge of the planet's canyon, he felt a stronger pull. The ground beneath his feet vibrated gently as if calling him back. The whisper returned in his mind, soft and patient. "You are ready to see." Come to the place where life began. Curiosity and fear battled inside him. What could the planet be showing him? He followed the instinct, leaving the base in silence. The night sky was filled with unfamiliar constellations, yet he felt oddly at home under their light. The canyon led him to a hidden valley he had not seen before. Strange symbols were etched into the rocks, glowing faintly in the dim light. Elias approached carefully. The symbols pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat. It was as if they recognized him, as if the planet itself was alive and acknowledging his presence. He touched one of the symbols. The moment his fingers brushed the rock, a wave of energy surged through him. Images flashed in his mind. A civilization far older than humans, beings who had walked among stars long before humanity existed. They had traveled, studied, and shaped life on countless worlds. And now they had left a gift, a test, and a warning. Elias staggered back, overwhelmed by the visions. He saw other humans far in the future, standing beside him, using abilities like his to communicate, to create, to explore. But he also saw failure. Humans misusing their gifts, collapsing under the weight of power they could not control. The whisper spoke again, more clearly this time. You have the chance to guide them. You are the first of your kind. Elias sank to the ground, trying to process it all. He had not only been changed physically, but mentally and spiritually. He was no longer just an explorer. He was a bridge, a link between humanity and a higher intelligence. The planet was alive, aware, and it had chosen him to begin the next stage of human evolution. Over the next days, he tested his abilities more deliberately. He could lift objects without touching them, sense vibrations from miles away, and perceive the flow of energy through the planet's crust. He realized he could communicate with the base's computers in ways beyond programming. They responded to thought, not code. Yet with each discovery, he felt a growing responsibility. The gift was powerful, but it was dangerous if misunderstood. He could feel the potential for both creation and destruction inside him. It was a delicate balance, one he had to learn quickly. The team grew concerned. They noticed Elias wandering alone for hours, staring at rocks, whispering to himself. But when they approached, he could sense their thoughts, concern, fear, curiosity. He reassured them gently without revealing the truth. I'm fine, he said, just thinking. Late one night, Elias returned to the cave where he had first drunk the water. He wanted answers, clarity. The pool glowed softly as if waiting for him. He knelt beside it, placing his hands in the liquid. The familiar warmth spread through him, and he felt the planet's energy more strongly than ever. Then the whisper returned, clearer, more commanding. The world will change because of you. Humans are ready for more, but they must understand the gift. Elias closed his eyes. He could feel the threads of life connecting everything. The rocks, the air, the water, the plants, even the faint traces of humans far away. He realized that he could guide humanity, not just survive, but help humans reach their full potential. The thought filled him with hope, but fear lingered. What if he failed? What if the gift was too much? What if humanity could not handle it? The planet, alive and patient, seemed to sense his doubts. A wave of calm passed through him. He understood that the planet was not an enemy. It was a teacher, a guide, and he was ready to learn. Elias spent hours in the cave, learning, testing, and connecting with the world around him. By the time he emerged, the sun had risen, painting the mountains in red and gold. He felt stronger, wiser, and more alive than ever. He could see possibilities everywhere, the potential for growth, for understanding, for something greater than humanity had ever imagined. He knew the journey had only begun. The planet held more secrets, more challenges, and more gifts, and he would face them all. Humanity had taken a small step into the stars, but Elias was about to take a giant leap into the future. And somewhere deep within the cave, the whisper waited, patient and eternal, knowing that the first step toward humanity's true evolution had been taken. Elias stood at the edge of the canyon, the wind whipping around him. The red dust of the planet swirled in the air, but he barely noticed it. His mind and senses were focused on something far greater. The cave pool, the whisper, the glowing symbols, they had all been leading him here to the heart of the planet, where secrets older than humanity waited. He began his journey into the deeper cave network, moving quickly but carefully. The rocks pulsed faintly under his fingertips, guiding him. Every step felt like walking through a living organism. each tunnel and chamber a part of the planet's vast consciousness. The whispers, now a soft hum, encouraged him onward, not with commands, but with knowledge that he could barely understand. At the end of the winding tunnels, Elias entered a massive chamber unlike anything he had ever seen. The walls glowed with energy, veins of light running like rivers through stone. At the center of the room floated a crystalline structure, humming softly, radiating warmth and intelligence. It was alive, ancient, and aware. As he approached, visions filled his mind. He saw an alien civilization, beings of light and energy, who had traveled from planet to planet, seeding life and observing its evolution. They had built this structure as a place of learning, a conduit for life to grow and evolve, and now they were speaking to him through the whispers and the energy in the chamber. "You are the first of your kind," the voice said, clear and calm. "You have inherited the potential we left for humanity. It is your choice how you guide it." Elias knelt, overwhelmed. He felt the weight of responsibility pressing on him, yet at the same time a surge of possibility filled him. The energy in the room connected with his own, amplifying his senses and understanding. He could feel the history of the universe in a single heartbeat, the rise and fall of civilizations, the birth of stars, and the potential of humans yet to come. He closed his eyes and reached out with his mind. The chamber responded. Streams of information, knowledge, and power flowed into him, not forcibly but like a teacher guiding a student. He saw humanity's future, humans exploring the stars, mastering energy, creating technologies that could heal, protect, and uplift life across planets. But he also saw danger. He saw greed, conflict, and misuse of power, and he understood that humans could not reach their potential without guidance. Elias opened his eyes. The decision was clear. He had become something more than human, but his purpose was to help humanity grow, to teach, and to prepare the world for a future where humans could reach the stars, not just as explorers, but as responsible stewards of life and knowledge. He focused on the energy of the chamber. Slowly, he raised his hands and the streams of light and power began to flow outward, reaching beyond the cave, connecting to the surface, the mountains, and even the base camp. At first, the energy was subtle, a faint warmth, a whisper of possibility. But soon the humans at the base camp began to notice. Dr. Moran, standing outside under the strange red sun, felt a sudden calm and clarity wash over her. She turned toward the mountains and saw faint glowing streams of light in the distance, moving like rivers of energy. Her mind filled with ideas, knowledge she could not explain, and the understanding that something extraordinary was happening. Back in the chamber, Elias sensed it. The connection he had to humanity was growing stronger. He could reach others, share what he had learned, guide them without words, and inspire them to think, act, and create in ways they had never imagined. He was no longer alone. Humanity was beginning to awaken to its full potential. Hours passed, though Elias could not measure time in the same way. The chamber and the planet had their own rhythm. He explored the crystalline structure, learning to navigate its energy and communicate with the alien intelligence. They showed him ways to manipulate energy safely, how to share knowledge, and how to guide humans to understand, not fear, the abilities he now possessed. At last, Elias emerged from the chamber. The first light of the planet's sunrise streamed through the cave entrance, illuminating him. He could feel the whispers fading, but their lessons remained, embedded in his mind and body. He looked at the horizon and saw the mountains, the valleys, and the base camp where his team waited. He knew it was time to share, to lead, and to help humanity take its next step. Elias returned to the base camp. His team was waiting, tense and unsure. But when he spoke, the words carried a calm authority, a confidence rooted in knowledge far beyond their understanding. "I've seen something," he said simply. "Something that can help humanity grow if we are ready." He did not explain everything. He could not. Some things had to be experienced, learned, and understood gradually. But he began teaching, guiding his team and sharing insights that transformed their understanding of science, energy, and life itself. Machines responded faster, experiments worked more efficiently, and the humans began to see possibilities they had never imagined. As days turned into weeks, the changes spread. Humanity was not yet aware of the full potential, but the first steps had been taken. The planet, alive and patient, watched through Elias. It waited, knowing that this was the beginning of a new chapter. Elias stood one evening on a cliff overlooking the canyon. The wind carried the faint glow of the planet's energy across the valleys. He closed his eyes and felt the pulse of life all around him. From the smallest rock to the highest peak, from the tiniest insect to the humans at the base camp. He was no longer just Elias, the explorer. He was Elias, the bridge, the connection between humanity and the universe's ancient wisdom. A soft whisper reached him one last time, gentle and proud. The first step is taken. The rest is yours to guide, Elias smiled. He understood now that humanity had always been more than explorers, more than survivors. They had potential to shape the stars, to understand life, and to grow into something extraordinary. And he would be there to guide them, to teach them, and to ensure that when the time came, humans would step into the universe not as conquerors, but as caretakers, thinkers, and creators. The red sun set on the distant planet, painting the sky in streaks of gold and crimson. Elias looked forward, sensing the energy, the life, and the possibilities. The journey of humanity had entered a new era, and he had been chosen to help lead it. For the first time, he felt hope that went beyond survival, beyond exploration, beyond curiosity. Humanity was ready, and the stars were waiting.